wants to recognize Mr. Van Voore to proceed if we have another witness lined up for today. Mr. Van Voore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have another witness lined up today. It is the Sergeant at Arms. I will just check if the Sergeant at Arms is outside the main door.
You can do so. And somebody should check the mic whether it is working, the one for the witness. Because we have learned that these things can just go bust at any given time. Sometimes fluctuations of electrical supply and all that can damage equipment. And it doesn't suggest that it was not checked before. It doesn't suggest that. Order, honorable members, we are in session. Honorable members, we are in session now. We have not suspended anything, and they are calling a witness to walk in, and we don't have all the liberty to make noise like during the break. The hearing is in session. Thank you. Honorable members, as Mr. Van Voore has indicated that he's calling a witness, and the witness is a sergeant at arms. I think much more appropriately is Mrs. Mhlomi. Have I correct? Mhlomi. Honorable members, Rule 138A of the Assembly Rules requires me, prior to the witness giving evidence, to inform her as follows. Ms. Mhlomi, please be informed that by law, you are required to answer fully and satisfactorily all the questions lawfully put to you, or to produce any document that you are required to produce in connection with the subject matter of the inquiry, notwithstanding that the answer or a document could incriminate you or expose you to criminal or civil proceedings or damages. You are, however, protected in that the evidence given under oath or affirmation before a House or committee may not be used against you in any court or place outside of Parliament, except in criminal proceedings concerning a charge of perjury or a charge relating to the evidence or documents required in these proceedings. Now, Ms. Mhlomi, I want to know whether you have any objection in taking an oath or making an affirmation. And then which one do you prefer to do between an oath and affirmation? Okay. If you do affirmation, Ms. Mhlomi, say, I confirm that the testimony or evidence I'm going to give is the truth and only the truth and binding on my conscience. Thank you very much for having done so. I now recognize Mr. Van Voore to proceed
Chair.
with the evidence.
Chair, can you just check whether the witness is on the necessary record?
Was it off?
It does not seem to be on from. You may have to start afresh for record purposes. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry for electrical equipment. They've got the capacity to actually derail our procedures. Honorable members, we will redo this because it is necessary that it goes to the record. Honorable members, Rule 138 of the Assembly Rules requires me, prior to the witness giving evidence, to inform her as follows. Ms. Mhlomi, please be informed that by law, you are required to answer fully and satisfactorily all the questions lawfully put to you, or to produce any document that you are required to produce in connection with the subject matter of the inquiry, notwithstanding that the answer or document could incriminate you or expose you to criminal or civil proceedings or damages. You are, however, protected in that the evidence given under oath or affirmation before a house or committee may not be used against you in any court or place outside of Parliament, except in criminal proceedings concerning a charge of perjury or a charge relating to the evidence or documents required in these proceedings. Now, Ms. Mhlomi, do you have any objection in taking an oath or making an affirmation?
I have no objections, sir.
Thank you. If you have got no objection, can you then indicate whether you want to make an oath or an affirmation?
Affirmation.
If you want to do an affirmation, please say that I confirm that the testimony or evidence I'm going to give is the truth and only the truth and binding on my conscience.
I confirm that the testimony or evidence I'm going to give is the truth and only the truth and binding on my conscience.
Thank you very much for doing so. Honorable members, I then recognize Mr. Van Voore to proceed with the witness who has just taken, who has just made an affirmation. Continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Mhlomi, will you please confirm that you're employed in the capacity as Sergeant at Arms in the National Assembly?
Yes, I am.
And for how long have you been employed in this capacity?
Since 2007, but when I was appointed in 2007, my job title was Under Secretary, Table Administration, and I was responsible for managing the then Sergeant at Arms.
And when did you become the Sergeant at Arms rather than Under Secretary, Table Administration?
In 2010, when Mr. Kleinwerk went on retirement, I, under the direction of the then Secretary to the National Assembly, took up the role and responsibilities of Sergeant at Arms. The reason was that in Parliament, Sergeants at Arms are senior level members of staff. It was an arrangement that I found when I was appointed in 2007 into the job, that there was someone else who was carrying out the responsibilities of Sergeant at Arms rather than the Undersecretary.
Thank you. The reason why you've been asked to come before the committee relates, of course, to the events that took place in the National Assembly on 21 August. Just to confirm, you were in fact in the National Assembly on that day, 21 August?
Yes, I was.
And that related to the session questions for oral reply, questions that had been posed to the President of the Republic for oral reply by the President.
Yes, that's correct.
In the ordinary course in the National Assembly at any one sitting, is there a particular place that you are seated? And if so, will you please describe to the committee where that is?
The seat of the bench that is used by the Sergeant at Arms is at the back of the House and indirectly opposite the presiding officer at the door. It would normally be the front of the House, but it is on this side of the House. As you enter the door facing the presiding officer, the Sergeant at Arms would be sitting on the left-hand side there.
What I'd like to do now, Ms. Mushlomi, is to ask Mr. Jerome Adonis to take us to various parts of the video footage and for you just to explain to the committee what precisely is taking place at that time. Sorry, Mr. Adonis. The first part of the footage I'd like to go to is that part of the footage that starts at 56 minutes and 13 seconds, up to and including 56 minutes and 31 seconds, please.
And I'm allowing honorable members to talk to the president,
Honorable
get
Speaker,
supplementary
the issue here is
questions.
about the money. When
Take your seat, honorable members.
Can you get
Take your seat. Take your seat. I will have to ask the Sergeant at Arms to take out members who are not serious about this sitting.
Thank you. Ms. Mushlomi, were you in the chamber of the National Assembly at that point when you heard the speaker first calling upon you to assist?
Yes, I was, Chairperson.
Did you get up immediately at that time, or was there a subsequent point at which you rose?
Well, you will note that the speaker is saying, I will call the Sergeant at Arms to take out members. And at that time, I did not stand up because the speaker was not calling for the Sergeant at Arms then. She said, if you do not do X, Y, and Z, I will call upon the Sergeant at Arms. The Sergeant at Arms does not want to look too eager to come and remove members or anything like that. So I do wait until I get an instruction that says X, Y, or Z.
Thank you. Ms. Mushlomi, I'd now like to show you a further part of the video footage with the assistance of Mr. Adonis. It is that part of the video footage commencing at 56 minutes 36 seconds up to and including 56 minutes 48 seconds. So it's 56 minutes 36 seconds up to and including 56 minutes 48 seconds.
On a point of order, I'm asking for to be recognized, Honorable Speaker, on a
Sergeant
point of
at
order.
Arms, please assist me with relieving the members who are in this house who are not serious about this sitting to
Who are
take
serious,
their
Chair,
leave.
who are raising a point of order.
You're not.
Can you please describe, having heard the speaker say what she said at that point, what did you do next?
I then moved from where I am seated and came around amongst the opposition parties and some of the ANC members, because that is where the path is, to come to members of the EFF.
Thank you. I'd now like Mr. Adonis to play a further portion of the footage. It is that portion from where we ended off last, up to and including 57 minutes and 32 seconds. So if you can just let it run from where it is now, please, Mr. Adonis, up to 57 minutes and 32 seconds.
Honorable member, you want to leave the house.
All we are
Leave the house.
back the money. Why are we getting thrown out?
That money, money must be paid. You can't hide behind presidents.
Honorable members, I'm calling the security. I'm suspending the house for a few minutes for these
On a point of order, Chair. 1 hour money. We want
The house is suspended.
Thank you, Mr. Adonis. At this point, you said earlier on that you'd risen from the seat where you ordinarily sit to the left of the Speaker's chair, and that you followed a path that would take you past the seats or benches of the majority party, and then ultimately up to the point where you are standing at the seats or benches occupied by the members of the Economic Freedom Fighters. Are you in the frame that we are looking at that point?
Yes. Yes, I am. First, I am walking towards the place where I am at this frame, and then I am standing next to Mr. Ndlozi there.
And did you have any interaction, conversation, engagement with Mr. Ndlozi?
I tried. I do not recall having a conversation because I don't remember Mr. Ndlozi responding to me directly. But I did try to say, Mr. Ndlozi, please, the presiding officer has spoken. You are requested to leave the chamber. But I don't recall getting a response from him.
Thank you, Ms. Mshlomi. There is another part of the footage that I would like you to view now and then to get your comment on that. It's probably simplest if we just let the footage run from where it is now, please, Mr. Adonis, up to and including 58 minutes and 4 seconds. 58 minutes and 4 seconds.
Oh, 1 hour money. 1 hour money. One hour money. Date and time. You won't remove us. We're not going anywhere. Pay back the money. Pay back the money.
Thank you. Madam Sergeant at Arms, there's a bit of activity there now, but I think the committee is keen to hear, and this is one of the purposes you were called before the committee. It appears that there is some interaction, engagement, talking between you and 2 members in particular, maybe more, in the House at this point. If you can please just identify them and explain what had transpired.
The member I spoke to and who responded to me is Mr. Malema, and Mr. Shivambu, standing next to him, did listen to what I was saying for a bit, but did not speak to me.
And what did you tell Mr. Malema or say to Mr. Malema, and what was his response, if any?
I spoke to Mr. Malema in Sepedi and told him that the presiding officer has spoken. I said, Ntate Malema, the presiding officer has spoken. O relejwe in the house, from the house. And Mr. Malema responded by, Harifilo means we are not going anywhere, we are not going anywhere. I then started almost pleading, I think. I said that, Mr. Malema, please, it is very difficult for me to do this part of my work. It is very difficult for me to approach you like this. Please don't make it even more difficult than it is. The presiding officer wishes you to leave the house, and if you do not leave, it means that I must get the security to come and take you and the members of your party out of the house.
And what was Mr. Malema's response to your further pleading, as you describe it?
Mr. Malema's response was, Babije, Babije. Members will see him doing this. He was saying, Babije. Babije means call them, call them.
After that interaction is just described by you now, Ms. Mushlomi, did you persist or what did you do?
I did not persist. I saw that Mr. Malema was not going to cooperate. I left and went outside of the house to go and communicate with our head of parliamentary security.
My apologies. You say you walked out of the house to go and communicate with the head of parliamentary security. Did you find this person?
Well, when I got outside, some of her staff were outside. 2 or 3 or 4 of them were outside. But I looked and I did not see her. I actually probably even walked a little bit this way, but I was quite anxious not to be outside the chamber for too long. So I went back almost immediately.
And the speaker had by then, I think I'd heard say, I'm suspending the House for a few minutes, or for 3 minutes. From your recollection, did the speaker in fact do so? And if that is the case, where were you in that first suspension of a few minutes?
Yeah. The speaker did indeed suspend the House for, I don't know if it was exactly 3 minutes, but the House was suspended with all the members there. And I came back into the House, and I think for a while I was standing right at that door that I used to go out, the one on the left-hand side of the speaker in the middle passage.
You heard the speaker say, Sergeant at Arms, please assist me in relieving the members who are not serious. Yes. The other members of the committee here this afternoon also heard the speaker say that. You then proceed, as you describe, from your chair and you follow a certain path. Who did you understand the speaker to be referring to?
It was clear to me that the speaker was referring to members of the Economic Freedom Fighters. For me, it was not the issue of whether members were serious or not. My instruction was to take members who were disrupting, as I understood, the proceedings of the House. And what I saw and heard was that the members of the Economic Freedom Front at that point they were standing up, they were shouting, some of them were banging on the tables, on their benches, even though the speaker was saying to them they are not recognized. So for me, the instruction was clear who it is that the speaker wanted to be removed from the House.
I'd just like to ask Mr. Adonis to play another rather short clip. You might well have covered this area or this part of the clip already, but I think it is useful all the same to ask Mr. Adonis to play the clip. It is that clip starting at 59 minutes 56 seconds up to and including 1 minute and 5 seconds.
Hiding behind presidency and parliament is not going to work.
In that frame on the screen now, will you confirm that there appears to be a person standing at the door in the back of that frame, and from where I sit, that appears to be you as the Sergeant of Arms?
That's correct.
Thank you, and if you can just let it run a bit further, please, Mr. Adonis.
The money must be paid.
Thank you. The adjournment, as it turns out, and this is not at all controversial, was not for or in dispute. The adjournment wasn't for 3 minutes, it was actually for 7 minutes. Were you in the House during the course of that adjournment of a few minutes?
Yes, I was. I have a number of staff members who report to me who do chamber duty. As I said also, I was a little anxious to be outside of the chamber and not see what is happening inside the chamber because I couldn't find the section manager of protection services. I came back into the House also to converse with my colleagues on the floor of the House as to what next to do. One of the things that we spoke about was that people must be on the outside of the benches and not be walking up and down at this time.
And then we hear the Speaker at some point saying to the members in the chamber that security has asked us to cooperate in this respect, and then there was a longer adjournment. I think that adjournment was nearly some 40 minutes, but that's not really the point. This was a longer adjournment. Were you in the chamber for that longer adjournment also?
Yes, I was. I left the chamber for a few minutes to go to the restroom.
Thank you. I'm now going to ask Mr. Adonis to play what I'm referring to now as CD2, and this records some footage recorded on what has been referred to as the ENG camera. The first part of the footage, roughly 1 minute and 18 seconds, it appears to depict you interacting with some members of the Economic Freedom Fighters. can just take us through what precisely was happening at that point.
Well, Mr. Malema and the other two ladies were asking for water. And in fact, they were asking, why are you not serving us water? Why are you not serving us water? My response was that there is water available at the back of the house, that way. And if members would like to have some water, you know, they can go and get some.
Thank you. And then at roughly 2 minutes and 18 seconds, there is another part of the footage where you appear to be in the, either followed by or in the company of members of the House. I'd just like to hear your description of that. It's at roughly 2 minutes and 18 seconds. If you can just take the committee through what had just happened there.
The two members were following me towards the back of the house where we keep the water, but they were called back. They did not actually go and get the water.
The committee viewed footage earlier. If the committee wishes to view it again, I'm sure that the committee will ask you to do so. But we had viewed footage earlier of what appears to be, and I don't think this is in dispute either, personnel of the South African Police Services in the National Assembly. Were those persons there? Were you involved at all in any discussion relating to calling them in or bringing them into the chamber? If you can just explain that.
No, I was not involved. I involved myself with the chamber service officers who are normally the people who serve members. All of us were on the floor of the house, and I saw members of the police services coming in. I was not part of any discussions to get them onto the floor of the house.
Thank you. Now, part of your work, Sergeant at Arms, does it involve interacting with members of the South African Police Services in relation to the workings of the House or the preparation for a sitting? And if so, if you can explain to the committee what that would entail.
Yes, Chair, I have to work with members of the South African Police Services because they are responsible for security. If something happens where, for example, you know, there's breakage on the premises of Parliament, etc. But also, what they do is they are also responsible for ensuring the security of the chamber. When for every sitting, the members of the SAPS, the dog unit, comes into what they say to sweep the chamber, both on the floor and in the gallery. And once that has been done, people are not allowed to come into the house until members start converging in the chamber. So members of the SAPS would sit and guard that people do not come into the chamber at all once the dogs have been. Also, the SAPS are around, also looking, they are around the chamber all of the time. So apart from speaking to them about work, we talk about, the work that we do, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you. Still staying with I think it is the E&G footage. There's a clip that I would like us to view, and I would like for you to explain to the committee what was taking place there. It starts at 18 minutes and 45 seconds, 18 minutes 45 seconds, up to and including 20 minutes and 48 seconds. Thank you, Mr. Adonis. Ms. Mushlumi, if you can please just explain what precisely took place in the clip, or that part of the clip that we have just watched now.
3 members of the National Assembly burst through the door. It's the door in the middle of the passage on the right-hand side of the presiding officer. You will have seen that I was not right at the door. I was standing somewhere off the picture. But 3 members came through the door, and they were saying things like, we will go to them, we will get them, we will get them. One of the members went out immediately, but 2 of them remained, the one lady and the one gentleman remained in the chamber. We spoke to them, my colleagues and myself. We spoke to them and we pleaded with them. I remember saying to the gentleman, one of the things I remember saying was that the media is sitting up there and they are recording all of these things happening. Can you imagine what will happen if you really did go towards the EFF? So eventually the gentleman did leave and the lady did leave, even though they did not use the same doors. The lady went out the door that we usually use for the speaker's entrance, And the gentleman used that door that is on the clip now.
The footage that I asked Mr. Adonis to play is from roughly 18 minutes, 45 seconds, up to and including 20 minutes and 48 seconds. That seems to be total time on the footage of some 2 minutes and 3 seconds from persons entering and then subsequently leaving. Did those persons, those particular 3 persons that you described, come back into the chamber before the House was reconvened at any time after that incident?
No, they didn't come back.
And then subsequently, the House was in fact reconvened, only for it to be adjourned at roughly 17 minutes past 4 in the afternoon. Were you in the chamber at that time?
Yes, I was.
From your knowledge, did the members of the EFF leave the chamber at any point during the first adjournment of some 3 minutes, or 7 minutes rather, as it turned out, and then the longer adjournment? Did they leave the chamber at any time?
Chair, I'm not sure if any of the members left, but the group as a collective was there at the time when there was brief adjournments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I have no further questions for Ms. Mshlume.
Thank you very much, Mr. Van Voren. For the part that you have actually gone through, I think it will assist members moving forward. Is there any member that wants to get some more clarity on the evidence that has already been led? I will have Honorable Eso, Honorable Lotrit, Honorable Filtane, Honorable Mwango, Honorable Twala. Let's hear from Honorable Eso.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think the first question I'd like to raise, Honorable Chair, is the one that the Sergeant at Arms indicated that when she tried to deal with the situation, the Honorable Member refused to cooperate and insisted staying in the House and not to obey any order from the Chair side, from the Speaker side. And then she said she was going to approach the security of Parliament, came back in, went back out a bit later again. At what stage was the security of Parliament actually involved in the process? And can she just briefly explain to us, Honourable Chair, when did SABC actually come into the House, as we can see on that clip? And where is the security of Parliament itself? And of course, there's a difference between security of Parliament and the SABC presence at Parliament as a NKP national key point. I think those are the things I'd just like to have some clarity on from what I see in the clip.
Is that question clear?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. And then Honorable Lotrit.
Thank you, Chair. My colleague has asked the question that I wanted to ask, but I would also perhaps just like to know who has the prerogative to call security into the chambers? Is it the Speaker and the Sergeant at Arms, or only one of the two? Thank you.
Honorable Lotrit, and then can you just be a little bit much more clear? When you say security, are you referring to the security services in Parliament, or security meaning SABC outside? Just so that she's clear what you're talking about.
Parliament security.
Okay. Thank you very much. And then, honorable members, if you have more than one question, you'll get a second round, so that you are able to follow that your question has been responded. Let's just ask one question, then we get it's a second round, and we do so that you are able to measure whether all the questions have been responded to. I think it is an opportunity for Honorable Filtana.
Thank you, Chair. Do you have authority to remove members from the House after a call for adjournment has been made? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Mwango.
Through you, the Sergeant at Arms was actually asked by the Speaker to quote the words, the specific words uttered by the Speaker. Sergeant at Arms, please assist me with relieving the members in this House who are not serious about this sitting to take their leave. And then in your own words, you actually you approached Mr. Ndlozi to ask him to leave the House because the presiding officer has said so. Why did you approach Mr. Ndlozi? Because the Speaker did not mention Mr. Ndlozi.
Okay, now is opportunity for Honorable Twala.
Thank you, Chair. In one of the videos that we have seen, you naturally were moving around the House in an endeavor to control the situation. In your, how can I put this? What is it that you witnessed? You have EFF members standing. In one of the stills, there are also members from other parties standing. How many people were standing at the time at which you interfaced with Mr. Malema? Thanks.
Okay, is there any other further question? None for this round, for the remaining members. For the remaining members, Honorable Mhlomi, thank you very much, Mr. Mhlomi. Don't interpret the removal of jackets from Honorable Filtan and Mwango. There is no intention of a fight. It's only that it is long that we have been here.
Thank you.
Then you can calmly respond to the question.
Thank you, Chair. The first question has to do with at what stage the Parliamentary Protection Services was involved, and when the SAPS came into the chamber. To the second question, I cannot say with certainty at what point the SAPS came into the chamber, because, first of all, I was not involved in the negotiations that were taking place. The Secretary to the National Assembly was the one interacting with the leadership of the National Assembly. So what I saw was members of the SAPS in uniform on the floor of the House, even though for some time they were not doing a lot. They were standing around. Some of them ended up standing at the door, etc. But I don't know exactly at what point on that day they came into the chamber. The protection services, I said that when I went outside the door, there were 3 or 4 of them, of our colleagues from the protection services standing outside. And my issue was that these people, because they report under the section manager of protection services. I was hoping to have a discussion with her and in order for the people to move into the house. And unfortunately, I did not have contact with her at all on that day. I believe that she was actually at the front, the side of the speaker's entrance at the time when I was looking for her. Melotriti was asking who has the prerogative to call parliamentary security. Is it the speaker or the sergeant at arms? The sergeant at arms has no prerogative of any kind unless instructed by the speaker, unless directed by the speaker to do anything at all. There is no prerogative for the sergeant at arms to do anything, to even stand up and be seen, doing anything during sittings of the House. Ndate Filtane, the question is whether the sergeant at arms has authority to remove after the call for adjournment. First of all, the sergeant at arms does not have authority to remove. Obviously, the authority rests with the speaker, first of all. Second of all, after adjournment, in this particular case, I don't know if Ndate Filtane is referring to that. In this particular case, the request by speaker, the instruction by speaker for members to leave was done, as far as I remember, before adjournment during the sitting. So if the speaker said we will adjourn for 3 minutes so that the people can be taken out, that was, in my understanding, done in the context of a sitting of the House. Again, the sergeant at arms must follow the instructions of the speaker when instructed to do whatever it is, take members out or whatever it is during a sitting of the House. That's what the sergeant at arms will do. I'm not sure if I've answered that question, Mr. Filtane, to your satisfaction. Mr. Mngango asks why I approached Mr. Ndlozi. Much as I cannot really find any other reason why, I suppose that in my mind I was telling myself Mr. Ndlozi is the spokesperson of the party, because there were other members of the economic freedom fighters standing behind him, who were also standing, etc. But I guess in my mind I was telling myself this is the spokesperson of the party, and probably I will get somewhere in trying something. Obviously, I did not on that day, and so I proceeded to the leader of the party. Mr. Twala wants to know how many members were standing at the time when I approached Mr. Malema. I cannot say how many members were standing, but I can say that it was very, very clear to me what the instruction of the speaker was. Not only did the speaker actually point with her finger, she also moved her body towards the people that she wanted me to remove. So I suppose at the time, my instruction did not have anything to do with the other people who were standing around, but the people who the speaker had indicated to me to go and help her remove from the chamber.
Honorable members, Filtane will follow, and Twala will follow. Honorable Eso will follow, and Mwango will follow. In that order, Honorable Filtane.
Thank you, Chair. At this point in time, I'll confine myself to asking a follow-up question. I have yet to deal with my second question, because the answer, as my body language would have indicated, does not...
Go for a follow-up.
Okay, sure.
You'll
Thanks
have
a
an
lot.
opportunity for the other question again.
Thanks a lot, Chair, for that, Chair. Video clip 56 minutes, 36 seconds to 56.48 shows, and the audio says, Sergeant at Arms, please relieve me by taking, that's the speaker. Then you say you went towards the EFF members. I haven't said to, I said towards because you explained to us the road leading to them. This is to cover you, okay. Then the second video shows the speaker says, I am calling the security, I am suspending the house is suspended. Now, I've recorded here that at this point in time, the Sergeant at Arms had not yet spoken to the EFF members when the speaker said, I'm suspending the house. That's where, Madam, my question comes from as to now, given your earlier explanation, did you get any subsequent instructions from the speaker to say, follow through on the message that, on the instruction that I gave you whilst the house was still in session? And, if not, do you have authority after the house has been adjourned to carry out an instruction that was given prior to the adjournment of the house? I hope now you understand me a lot better. Thanks a lot.
Chair, in one of the stills, we see the Sergeant in Arms almost within proximity of what I would refer to based on uniform and insignia, a very senior police official. Would you kind of clarify us on that? You saw the senior official, who was he? And in your understanding, how did he get to be on the floor of Parliament? The instruction to you was, can you assist me remove these members who are not serious about the business? I won't go in verbatim. In your understanding, who were these members? That would be extremely helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, I think I do have the right or the power to caution members if they ask a repetitive or say a repetitive thing, just to caution them really not to do so. So I'm sure that the last question that Honorable Twala said, I'm sure it has been asked many times. So but I mean, if she's prepared to repeat it, but we just needed to avoid that. I think we had Honorable Eso on the line.
Honorable Chair, in terms of the Sergeant of Arms, the role, powers and responsibility of the individual. Now, generally, the Sergeant of Arms assists the Speaker in the discipline of the House, and if members are not orderly, they can be asked to be removed. Now, I just want to know, in terms of the job description of the Sergeant of Arms, were those steps followed? Because from what I'm hearing is the protection services were not really available to support the Sergeant at Arms. And the police entered without the knowledge and understanding of the Sergeant of Arms. So somebody else gave instruction, which is more senior. No. I'd just like to...
Yeah, let's just hear the point of order. Boy.
Just be patient. Then I was saying, Chair, I thought that the early ruling was saying that we should not start behaving as if we're starting to debate. I thought that we were soliciting clarities. But in the way the member is now beginning to put his question, it's quite clear that he's now beginning to come to conclusions about the role of the Sergeant of Arms on that particular day.
Yeah.
Honourable Chair, if I can respond. First and foremost, all of us are governed by a job description when we take office, even as members of Parliament. I'm simply asking the question, did you exercise your responsibility as a Sergeant of Arms and follow the procedures laid down in your job description?
Okay. I think that question, she should be able to answer that one. Honorable Mwango.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. The Sergeant at Arms was actually very, very busy on that day. I mean, that can be seen in the clips there. One of the things that you actually said you were going to do after talking to the Honorable Mr. Malema in vain, and you said to him in Sipedi, you are going to call the security. And then he responded in Sipedi, excuse my inability to repeat exactly what you said, but in your own translation, you said he was actually saying, call them. Then you actually went out to call the security. But then you were followed by members of the SAPS. Is that the security that you went out to call? Or you actually you just had some people actually, exploiting the situation and actually following you? I mean, people were not supposed to be inside the house because you did not call them in. You were looking for parliamentary security. I just want to get some clarity on that. Thank you.
Okay, it's Honorable Killian.
Chairperson, part of my questions were in fact posed, but I would like to hear the responses and then have an opportunity to pose a
Okay. Okay. Mem Hlomi, maybe you can also just repeat that part of your speedy version when you spoke to Malem, so that it becomes a little bit clear, and then continue with the responses.
Chairperson, I spoke in the main in Sepedi to Mr. Malema. I guess because I'm more comfortable, it's my mother tongue, and I know that Mr. Malema also understands and speaks Sepedi. So I said to him, Ndate Malema, Speaker or Sepela, meaning that the Speaker says you must leave the chamber. As a summary, Mr. Malema, in his response, said, I might not have included this previously, but he did say that we are going nowhere. We want money. At the time when I was trying to plead and I saw that I was not getting anywhere, I said to Mr. Malema, security I will have to call the security to come and take you out of the chamber.
Yeah, continue with the responses to the questions.
And to which Mr. Malema said, Babiche, meaning call them. Okay. Chair, the question, I've written the questions down, but I have not written them according to the order that they were asked. So I will just go according to the first one that I have here. The question, I think it's by Mr. Filtani, about whether the Sergeant at Arms has authority to remove members after the House has been suspended. That is the question. I'm not sure, Chairperson, whether the suspension of the House on that particular day rules out the instruction that was given. You will remember that the Speaker did say, we are suspending the House so that these members will be removed from the House. She did say so that the members would be removed from the House. So in my mind, the instruction that was given right at the beginning of the disruption was it was continued with the instruction that said we are suspending so that these members can be removed.
We have got very, very good systems in our country available. We've got very, very good systems in our province. We are very prepared. There is absolutely no reason for any panic. Met die wêreldpandemie of moontlike pandemie van
The biggest risk, interestingly enough, is not putting the equipment on, it's taking the equipment off. And internationally now we've developed a buddy system.
Good. Met die wêreldpandemie of moontlike pandemie van Ebola en die feit dat dit so belangrike siekte is, was dit vandag nodig geweest om net tentoon te stel aan die mense van ons provinsie om te wys tot watter mate ons gereed is daarvoor, klinies aan die een kant, maar ook vanaf 'n disaster management kant, om seker te maak dat ons die siekte kan hanteer sou dit gebeur. So ons vandag hier by Tygerberg Hospitaal waar ons isolasie eenheid is en ons het met al die superspesialiste en spesialiste vergader, die eenheid gewys. En ek dink dis veilig om te sê dat ons in Suid-Afrika baie goeie stelsels het. Gesondheidsstelsels het wat hierdie virus betref, dat ons in ons provinsie baie gereed is daarvoor, indien daar enige uitbraak sou wees aan 'n kliniese kant, maar ook aan die ander kant om dit te kan hanteer as 'n gemeenskapskwessie. En dan om te wys dat ons voortdurend besig is om onsself te verbeter met die voorbereiding vir so 'n virus indien dit sou kom. En die enigste boodskap daarmee vandag is om te sê daar's geen rede tot paniek nie, daar's geen rede tot kommer nie. Die stelsels is in plek, ons is besig om onsself baie goed voor te berei. Ons is reeds goed voorberei en daar's geen rede vir paniek nie.
The biggest risk, interestingly enough, is not putting the equipment on, it's taking the equipment off. And internationally now we've developed a buddy system where we have one person in PPE that just watches the other person get dressed and watches the other person take their clothing off. So literally a step process on how we do that, and that's the type of training that we're doing.
Good. Giovanna?
Hi, Minister.
Have I given you enough time to prepare? I'm sorry, I'm late. And I'm tempted to say I'm never late, but I'm not going to say that because last few. Anything you want to say? Nothing? It is about the preparedness of the Western Cape for evening. Dr. Smith.
Yeah, thank you, MEC and colleagues. Good morning. I'm actually going to, if you don't mind, just run you through a very quick presentation on what the provincial preparedness has been thus far, where we are.
For the managing of the Ebola cases. There are 11 in the country. We're one of the 11.
Anyone who can answer this. The first one is, if the...
because there's also a whole cultural issue at stake here.
So that people touch the bodies in some kind of
and
ritual.
governments should be ready to impose.
The issue about the clipboard guy that was standing, everybody else was had their protective gear on and he didn't have that on.
1,200 trained personnel across the disaster management sector. And Dr. Erasmus mentioned.
When we have a patient within F3, those people will be contacted. F3 currently is the empty ward with no